How to get rich through Bitcoin? We're going to answer that great question in this video. Okay, let's rock. Let's talk about Bitcoin. And how do you get rich with Bitcoins? What the heck is a Bitcoin? Oh my gosh, my friend got rich and this person told me Bitcoin's a great investment and this person told me it's a scam and I don't know what to believe, but how do I get rich through Bitcoin? That's your question. Well, I've got you on this one. Here's the short answer to that. First of all, I want to know what you define rich as. How much money is rich? Are you talking like $100,000? You talking like $1 million? You talking like 100 million? How much are you talking? So let's define that number first, and let's make sure that your number, your version of rich, is actually reasonable, okay? Because most people, if they had $1 million, they'd consider that rich. That's a lot of money, and it is rich, right? So if that's the kind of money you're looking for, let's look at the price of Bitcoin today. When I last checked, it was in the middle $9,000 range, like $9,400, $9,500, somewhere around that range. That's how much a Bitcoin was. So in order to get rich, if we define that as $1 million, Bitcoin's got to go to $1 million, right? So the only way to really get it would be to buy it for like $9,000, $9,500, $10,000, whatever it is, hold it, hoping that someday, there's no guarantees, that it's going to be worth $1 million. The question is by the time it becomes worth $1 million, how much has inflation and things like that changed to where your money then buys you the same as say what it would buy today? And what I mean by that is this. In 1955, okay, when my parents were kids, the price of just a can of Coca-Cola was about a nickel, 5 cents. And that same can of Coca-Cola today in most vending machines is around $1, give or take. Maybe some are as cheap as 75 cents. I don't think you can find it for 50 cents anymore, but there might be some. Most are around $1, $1.25, $1.50, just for a can of Coke when it was a nickel back in 1955. So understand that the nickel then doesn't buy you the same as a nickel today. So hypothetically, if you had to hold Bitcoin for like 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, and it became worth $1 million, it's not going to buy you the same amount of stuff that $1 million would buy you today. Does that make sense? So there's a cost, there's a time value of money today versus in the future. Now, if Bitcoin goes up at the rate it's been going up, if you look, I mean, in like 2008, 2009, whenever it came out, and it was 2 cents or a nickel, right? Today is say 9,000 or 10,000 roughly, give or take. This is May 31st, 2020, so feel free to look it up. You can see it online everywhere. I'll show you the price charts. And depending on the website that you use, it'll have a slightly different price because all the websites use some different algorithm or something to decide exactly how much a Bitcoin is worth. Some of them mark it up, they add a few percent or whatever, but it just kind of depends. So if you think about it, if you bought a Bitcoin today, in order to get rich, it's got to go up about 100 times more in value than it's worth today. That's not easy, but it can happen. I mean, if you look on other videos on YouTube, you'll actually see videos where they talk about Bitcoin becoming potentially worth $1 million or millions of dollars someday, but it's going to take time to get there. But let's kind of backtrack. Let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin and what makes it valuable. You're saying, well, what is a Bitcoin? Is it a coin, like a gold coin, like a silver coin? Can I touch it? The answer is no. There is no physical. Now, they had made some physical versions a while back that actually got banned, and those do exist, okay? Those actually are out there where you could actually buy a physical coin, and there was a unique, it was like the identifier number, right? Like the wallet, it had like the wallet number with the key to the wallet, so that if you had that, you could unlock those Bitcoins and then you would own them, okay? So those were very, very special. All the people in the Bitcoin community absolutely love them. And if you're lucky enough to find one, they're actually worth a lot more than what the actual value of a Bitcoin is because they've now become collectible, okay? So they're, in general, no, Bitcoin's just a digital thing. It's a digital currency. There's no physical aspect to it. But if you're kind of one of those people that say, well, if I can't touch it, if I can't feel it, it's not real. Well, you got a lot of sad truths that are going to be coming up here in the years because as we go more digital, more online, that's what the world's turning out to become. It's not becoming so tangible anymore. I mean, your house is tangible, your car is tangible, but the rest of it, the money system, I mean, heck, you use your credit card Where's that physical money, right? It's just a digital number you pay for, and then when you pay your online payment to pay your credit card bill, it's just all electronically paid, or you write a check, but there's no physical to that either, really. I mean, you can go to the bank and get some cash, but let's be honest. The only thing that makes a dollar worth money is the perception that it's worth money, right? The belief that it's worth money. Because your parents spend it and it worked for them, and your grandparents spend it and it worked for them, and you're spending it and it buys you stuff. But the actual paper itself, I mean, the dollar, $100 bill, is worthless, right? It's not worth anything. It's the fact that actually you can go to almost any store in the world and spend it and get something else in exchange for that piece of money, right? Well, guess what? Bitcoin is like that as well. You can get pretty much anything with Bitcoin as well. It's just not yet widely adopted, right? And so this is what I want to tell you about how I've made a lot of money in Bitcoin. And when I say a lot of money, I mean a lot of money, life-changing money in Bitcoin. So listen up, from somebody that's done it, is I learned that Bitcoin is one of the most volatile investments of our time. It's a bunkin' bronco. If you're from Texas, if you're from South Texas and you ride rodeos and you get on those bulls, that's what I'm talking about. It is the most volatile investment you will ever find, and it will toss you off if you don't know what to do. But here's the secret. Here's what I learned. Bitcoin is mathematical. It's all mathematics. There's an actual cost for the miners to run their computers, to run their miners. The miners, by the way, don't think like gold. They're out there like with bulldozer digging for gold. The new day and age miners are simply computers. They're computers that are set up for the Bitcoin network. They're set up to serve it like a server does for a website. And so the people that take the time and spend the money and the resources to buy these Bitcoin miners, these servers, plug them in, pay the power bills to run them, maintain them and all that stuff, they get rewarded in fractions of Bitcoin. And what's beautiful about Bitcoin is it's divisible down to 8 decimals. Like when it was originally programmed, when they initially set it up, they made it to where you could send point with like 7 zeros, 1, and if Bitcoin was say worth like $1 million, that should translate somewhere to be like a penny. So you could actually send a penny to somebody, send 5 cents, send $1, send $100. You didn't have to buy a full Bitcoin, you could buy fractions of it, and that's okay. So that's the beauty about it. And so these miners, as they host the network, as they serve it, so to speak, they get rewarded for doing that in the way of what they call getting rewarded by blocks, by solving blocks. But to solve a block is very difficult. It usually takes thousands, if not tens of thousands of miners to solve one block. So what people do that are miners is they take their miners and they plug into a mining pool. So that way, when that entire pool, that entire organizational pool solves one block, then they get a pro rata share of a Bitcoin in relation to the amount of what they call hash power, the amount of call it power, the amount of power they're producing to that pool, they would get that percentage of it in Bitcoin. So let's make a small example of that. You own 1% of that mining pool's hash rate, right? You're supplying 100 miners, which is a lot of money, by the way. But you own 1%. So every single time a Bitcoin block reward gets solved in your pool, you would get 0.01 of a Bitcoin. Does that make sense? Because 0.01 is 1/100th of a Bitcoin. And you're providing the same amount, 1%, which is 1/100th, 0.01 of the hash power to that mining pool. You would have to have a heck of a lot. You'd have to have 100 times more miners to be able to earn one full Bitcoin, right? Makes sense math-wise. And so you know that's a lot more money, a lot more power, a lot more maintenance. So that's why people don't do that. They join these mining pools. And so what I learned was mining is very expensive. It's a lot of work. And the average person can't do it. If you're not technical, you don't understand computers and coding and software and a lot of stuff. I mean, there's just so much where you can really lose a lot of money. What I learned was as time goes, the cost to mine these Bitcoins, which means to serve the network, was going up with time. And as time went and the cost of mining went up, the price of Bitcoin kept going up. And what was interesting even more to me was that anytime Bitcoin had a crash, and believe me, it's crashed so many times, but anytime it crashed in price, it recovered. So far, it just keeps recovering because there's an actual cost. I mean, if it doesn't recover, the miners are just going to turn off all their Bitcoin miners, and then there's going to be no Bitcoin. And now everybody's incentivized because it's what the whole network's worth, like, the amount of Bitcoins that are out there are worth like $100 billion or some crazy number like that. Everybody's incentivized to make sure their Bitcoins don't go to become worthless. So they want to keep the network. So it's kind of like a checks and balances system. So think about this. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just being real with you, okay? Just being real. Just thinking about it like this. If it costs more to make Bitcoin as time goes, it makes sense to me that the price is going to go up. Furthermore, Bitcoin's a limited resource. The program that was created means that when the last one is mined in like the year 2140 or 2150, whenever it is, in like 100 and some odd years, when the last one's mined, that's it. Then people have to basically trade and exchange all the Bitcoins that had gotten mined. But the beautiful thing is the miners will still be able to earn Bitcoin, because people have asked me that question. Well, if they run out, how do the miners earn it? Well, because they're going to charge that fee from all the transactions going. That's right. So when a transaction goes from point A to point B, there's a small transaction fee. The miners are going to get that. The miners get that now, right? So that's how Bitcoin can continue to change in perpetuity. Now, there's obviously downside risk with Bitcoin. Theoretically, every government in the world could say it's illegal, right? Well, they did that with gold in like the 1930s in the United States, where it was illegal to own gold, and gold didn't become worthless. And eventually, Nixon took it off the gold standard in like 1970, and look how much gold is worth, right? In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think that regardless of what the governments do, it's going to have some value. Now, it might not be worth as much as we want it to become worth, but it's going to have value because so many people of this generation, and even the prior that started it, are starting to believe in it as a form of currency, a store of value that was built by the people and for the people. And so the people continue to maintain it, right? It's our money in a sense. So how do you get rich through Bitcoin? The way I did it was I just bought a bunch and I sat on it. I know you're saying, what the heck? Because when you sit on it long enough, if all the stuff I talked about in this video are true, then it should go up over time. Then you have to define what rich is. How much can you afford to invest, and how long can you afford to wait, and how quickly it's going to go up? And as I keep seeing it, the trend overall, long-term, looks upward for Bitcoin. Okay, everybody, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please click the like button and don't forget to comment. I'd love to hear all your comments. And remember, please subscribe because I'm going to do as many videos as I can. I'm going to keep talking about business, a lot of the mindsets that you need to maintain in order to stay in business and be successful and things like that. So if you found this video helpful, I'd love it if you subscribe. I want to keep continuing to deliver you content. And remember, in life, as well as in business, it's never easy for anybody along the journey of life, right? And remember, and take this from me, no matter how hard it gets, don't get beat up. Never quit. Keep pushing, push hard, and be the hustler.